Hey everybody, we are live with my buddy Mehrban. So exciting. We've got the man here and it's been a rough week for the contestants on music trivia and I will say that I always I love you Mehrban, but I always kind of put you as the bar and it's a very low bar that I say that you don't get them. You don't get these things, these music trivia questions. So, I'm going to give you one and the good thing is no one gets them. I'm surprised. No one gets these right. But I think that you're going to come clutch tonight, my man. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm trying to
Uh,
get this. Here we
All
go.
right. All right, ready? Here we go. So I'm going to hit it.
Just kick me off the stream.
Have you heard this?
Yeah.
Who sings it?
I'm dead in the water.
I'm going to Have you heard this song before? It's actually a really good song. I like it. Does anybody else
I
know
don't
who
even.
this is?
Yeah. I'm not cheating this time. But I don't even know if I've heard this.
What? It's a classic, actually. I like it. I'll give you a clue. The guy's got like a million. What?
Oh no, I have heard it. That last part I remember somehow.
And what's the song?
Yeah.
Do you know it or no? You give up?
No.
That's Post Malone. Circles. Have you heard of Post Malone?
Oh, I have heard of Post Malone. Yes.
That's Circles. It's
Yeah.
good, actually a good song. I like it.
Wow. Well, look
I
at
think
you getting in the present.
yeah, I think I'm gonna get my face all tatted up. I'm inspired.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do that. You may lose some viewers. Your target audience, I don't know if they like those face
Well,
tattoos.
Yu Wang got it right. He had Post Malone. He had Circles. So welcome everybody. Good to see you on. And we're gonna have a fun night tonight. We're gonna go through the 10 golden rules of winning more tennis matches. And I know that you are yourself playing a lot of tennis. Tell us about the tennis that you've been playing lately.
Yes, I've been playing a lot of what's called 9-5 combo. So that is either a 5-0 male and a 4-5 female, or the reverse. So that's been a lot of fun for me. We've only played a couple matches, so I actually had 1-1 with one of my partners, 10-8 in the third set tiebreak. No, sorry, 10-4 in the third set tiebreak. And then the second match, we lost 10-8 in a third set tiebreak. So that's been a lot of fun. I've also been playing in these Friday night social leagues, which is great. So I'm part of the Montgomery County Tennis Association here in Maryland, and we've set that up where every Friday we play tennis at night, and then we go and have a drink and relax. So that's been great. Working on my serve a lot, and most importantly, really enjoying TennisCon 5. I not only participate in it thanks to Pete, but I'm also checking out the lessons. Especially, I was really hooked on some of the serve lessons. I saw one from Racket Flex, which was fantastic. So I love that one. There was also a very nice fitness workout one, a follow along. I like that one.
That's yours. It was very good.
Oh, that's right. It was mine.
It was very good. It's very good.
But yeah, Pete, you do a great job. I'm getting a lot of emails just saying how great it is. And I saw some comments saying that this is the best one yet. So I definitely agree. So great job to you and your team. Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much. Well, me and my team is me and Barkley, and you're a part of the team for sure. Mehrban actually helps me a lot with this, guys, behind the scenes. I lean on him for advice, and I mean that. So yeah. So
thanks. Same.
Guys, I know you're on. I know you want to learn some stuff. Christopher's on. He says, I've never heard of Post Malone. Is that a joke or like you really haven't heard of Post Malone?
Maybe he's heard of the pre-Malone and then just not the post
What
one
about
yet.
Moses Malone? I bet you don't know who I'm talking about when I say Moses Malone, do you, Mehrban?
I've heard of Moses.
When I was growing up, Moses Malone was an incredible basketball player for the Philadelphia 76ers. So, but yeah, Post Malone, he's like a rapper singer guy.
Huh.
Dude, I'm Woodstock. Okay. Hey guys, love your videos. However, why are Vimeo missing audio? Which one's missing audio? Is anybody else
Hmm.
having trouble with the audio on any of the
Hmm.
videos? I personally go through and play all the videos every single
Hmm.
day, and they have sound on them. So I don't know. Karen says, oh, Karen came to our Cincinnati clinic, by the way. She's awesome.
Oh,
And she says, I love your
cool.
podcast, Mehrban, and thank you, Pete, for all your
Thank
tennis
you.
advice. Bruce
Appreciate it,
Kennedy
Karen.
says, I'm enjoying the blend of tennis instruction, energizing, exciting young ones, and the wisdom of the older guys. Cool. Robin and more than happy have not heard of Post Malone. More than happy that she hasn't heard. Last couple of days have no audio. Is that
Hmm.
Dan? That's the same. Dan, can you send me a specific page and a specific video to my email so I can see exactly what you're going through? The only thing I can think of is maybe somehow I'll never figure out the internet and devices of internet stuff. Maybe somehow one of your devices doesn't have the audio button there where it's clear, or maybe it's not even there. Mehrban, have you been really looking at the videos and are you having any
Hmm.
issues?
I fortunately have not had any issues. I did have one person who emailed me as well. So, I mean, same as you, maybe it just like by mistake it got muted and you just want to check the screen, which maybe you have already, or just try rebooting. But I've had no issues personally with the audio, so hopefully we can fix
Good,
that.
good. All audio has worked for me, says Christopher. Okay. So, yes,
Oh,
guys,
thank you,
anytime you're
Linda.
having any trouble, email me, Crunch Time Coaching. Let me put it up on the screen before we get going. Um, so, yeah, and let me know how you guys are liking Tennis Con. What are your favorite ones? Today, actually, I watched the one with Rick Macy. I watched the whole thing. And I mean, I'm like, I should watch this like once a week because
Legend.
he's got so many just great lines for life. Attitude makes your altitude and all this kind of stuff. Like I was like, yes, I got to listen to this all the time. He says he doesn't even he gets up at 3 in the morning and he never sets the alarm. That's how pumped up he
Wow.
is for life. He's a crazy one.
Discipline.
Okay, well, we got 51 people, so I think these 51 people, they want 10 golden rules of how to win more tennis matches. So this is actually one of the bonus audio lessons. I tried to get into podcast mode like Mehrban. I tried to get my NPR voice going and got a cup of coffee and had a little lounge music in the background. Actually, there's none of that, but I did do
Bubble
an
tea.
audio for one of your bonuses for TennisCon 5. So this video that you're going to watch today, this live one, will be up till Sunday. But if you get the lifetime access pass, you can always listen as you're driving to your match, as you're walking through the woods, you know, as you're having a cup of coffee. You can listen before your big match. 10 things you can do. And I really think that these are actually pretty good. And Mehrban are going to share and go back and forth on them. We're going to share the list and give you the advice. So actually, I'm going to put the first one up here, and Mehrban is going to go. So there it is. That's the first thing that you should do. Take it away.
Yes, and I have to constantly remind myself about this, about preparing. I have always been a procrastinator, last moment. The match is at 8, get there at 7:59. But I can tell you that, preparing for my matches, practicing properly, practicing with pressure introduced into my matches, the week before, a couple weeks before my matches, eating properly with the right foods rather than just, relying on your ego and ability to get you through, making sure you're properly hydrated, preparing your bag with the proper, snacks and hydration. Preparation is really, really key. And I can't stress enough how much preparing, especially for somebody like me, has helped me to be just comfortable and relaxed and give me confidence when I get to that stage of playing where I know that I've done all that I could. There have been times previously, many times, where I'm at the match and all of a sudden, I look in my bag and I forgot something. I don't have enough water, I don't have enough snacks. I feel like I haven't practiced enough during the week, and preparation is really key. You hear it all the time, but I mean, I want you to think of a time when you had not adequately prepared for a match, and then the ensuing result, which is likely that you didn't do well. And just think of that pain that you feel, and how you think to yourself, wow, I bet if I prepared myself to play my best, to be comfortable, I know that I could have won this match. And those are the ones that you just never want to have happen. That's painful. And so hopefully that'll sink in when you think about a prior time like that. So definitely want you to be prepared. Also, the dynamic warm up, prime your muscles, get them ready to play. So I mean, those are kind of the main things. But believe me, preparation is the one of the very first things you should be thinking about. So hopefully that made sense and hit home for some of you folks. Pete, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, yeah, I think it's one of those things where, like, prepare, and I put it on the list, and a lot of people will be like, duh, but at the same time, you do have to remind yourself to do it, because so few people do it properly and
Mhm.
optimize it. And a great kind of two examples, two extreme examples is, Nick Kyrgios shows up on the court and he doesn't have his shoes, like, and he thinks it's funny, and it's
Yeah.
and it's entertaining, but at the same time, it's really not funny that a guy who's in Wimbledon, and makes millions of dollars, doesn't even have his shoes to play. And then Novak Djokovic, who, you know, what's interesting is he's now dominated the sport for like 11 or 12 years in a row, where he's been number one. And he struggled in the beginning. This guy struggled a lot. A lot of people are questioning his heart. He used to have trouble breathing on the court. We forget that. And what was missing? He said confidence was missing. He didn't believe. He said until he believed, he couldn't beat Federer and Nadal. And what made him get that belief? He went deep into preparation. He changed his entire diet. He changed everything that he was doing. And I mean, you have to give the guy credit, because he is the most when you're prepared. I mean, that's when you get your confidence. It goes to everything in life. If you don't study for a test and you're like, well, I'm going to wing it, hope they give the five questions that I know, I hope I get those. Versus, when you study and you prepare, like, anything they throw at me in this chapter, I know it. And so this is the kind of, if you want to take your tennis to that next level, you've got to do these little things. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, good job, Mehrban, on number one, by the way.
Thanks, Pete.
Everybody give Mehrban a round of applause.
Pete, do you
Number
mind if I
Go
uh,
ahead. No,
uh,
you
I'm
step in
sorry.
anytime you want, buddy. You step in
Sorry
anytime
for
you want.
yeah. Sorry for interrupting you, Peter. No, there's a good follow up from Bruce. That's why I was wanted to
Yeah.
mention. And he asked, mindset wise, what preparation do you do, Mehrban? And that's a great question. I interviewed James Blake, and I remember him saying that he was never nervous because he would always plan and then visualize before his matches. So I try to do a similar thing. I first try to do a refresher of what are my strengths, and then if I know my opponent, I got to try to go through what are their strengths and their weaknesses, and then I try to come up with a game plan. I try to think of specific point patterns that will help give me the best chance of winning these points. And then I try to do some deep breathing, which helps a lot too. I meditate every morning, actually, which has helped me a lot. And so those are the types of things that I try to do mindset wise. Just focus on the execution, not the results. Because I have this story about back in college where I was too excited to get my first win, so that's all I thought about after I was up a set in a break. It was like 6-2, 5-1, and I lost. So I try to focus on the game plan and executing, and that definitely calms me down and gets me away from the emotional side of it as much as possible. It's going to be there, it's natural, but you just try to refocus on the execution of each point. So hopefully that helped. Take it away, Pete.
That's very good. Number
Next.
two. Number two, and I learned this from the great Roy Emerson. And if you've watched me for a while, you probably know where I'm going with this. Hit the ground running. What does that mean? I think as tennis players, because we want to get into a rhythm, we want to get into a flow. And the way that we do everything in tennis I think is the opposite of how tennis actually goes. Think about when you go out into the court. You kind of just first start hitting the short court. I like hitting the short court, by the way. But the way we do it is we're kind of like moving. Our feet are moving at the same pace of the ball. We're just really casual and trying to feel it. Feet are barely moving. Like maybe do like one little two steps. Like, I mean, our juniors do it every day. And Nick Saviano, who I got to watch speak one time, he coaches a ton of pros. He goes, when you get on the court, it should be 100% feet and 50% power. I want my people moving 100% with their feet and 50% power right away. He says lots of times it's the opposite. It's 100, especially with men. He says it's 100% power, 50% feet. And Roy Emerson said, when you go out there and you play from the very first point, you should be going 100 miles an hour. And John Newcomb, who played him a bunch, said, when I played Roy, I was always down 3-0 before I knew it because he came out so fast. And hit the ground running applies to so many things too, because another thing that I think we do is when we serve the ball in play, then we kind of think, okay, now we're going to kind of get into a groove of the point. And then we never do, because most points end within the first 4 shots. And usually the first and usually what happens is the serve, people don't get the return back. The serve, people get the return back, people miss their first shot off the serve. And so, I think to prepare and play better right off the bat, hit the ground running, is I'd like everybody, it's one thing I'm trying to do more in my practices, is I love hitting cross courts. I love that. That's fun. That's great groove work. But I try and then transition like, okay, now let's serve the ball in and hit cross court. And it's amazing how you try this in the next week. Go hit cross court with somebody, get into a groove, start thinking that you're really good. You and your partner are really good. You're having 10, 15, 20 ball rallies. Then say, okay, now let's serve and do the same drill. And all of a sudden you're like, what happened? I'm no good anymore. Because it's just a completely different rhythm. So practice in like sprint mode to start stuff. Just don't, everything. When we hit, like if Mehrban and I were to go hit cross courts, I bet you go like something like this. We'd hit the first one casually, Mehrban hit the second one casually. Then probably about ball 4 or 5, we start cranking. You see, but if we're to play a match, by ball 4 or 5, we only get there about 10, 15% of the match. We don't get to ball 5. So
yeah,
you've got to start really reverse engineering your practices and your mindset to what's actually going to happen when you play a match for real, and know that no matter how much you want to get in long rallies, no matter how good you want to get into a groove, the numbers are against you. Facts are facts. Numbers don't lie. You're only going to get into what you consider a groove, to where you get into a beautiful, cool, great feeling rally. You're only going to get there about 20% of the time in a match. So you've got to start working the way tennis actually works. Done.
Love that, Pete. It's really interesting. I feel like it's pretty solid that you can tell what level a player is just by their footwork. You can see, the ones who don't have as intense of a footwork, they're usually not at that 4 or 5 plus level. But I really love what you said about the 100 or 110% feed and 50% power, because whenever I get nervous or whenever I'm not playing well, that is the first thing that I go to. I try to get my feet more intense and moving. And, I had a great coach on my podcast recently, Vesa Punka, and, during the entire lesson, he said, feet always moving. So he just get me to just constantly be utilizing my footwork. But yeah, it's, you don't want to get to that point where you're down, you're already down a set and you're not warm. And so that kind of goes even back to number 1, which is to prepare, get your body ready so that you can be able to fire, very quickly and hit the ground running. And, I think we all know that stat where it's like 70 to 80% of the points, they all end, within the first 4 shots. So we can't be practicing where we're, just chilling the first few shots, and then we get intense by the later ones. So thanks for that, Pete. Great explanation.
Thank you. There you go. Number 3, you're up.
Yes. So having clear goals for your points. So I did mention this a little bit in the beginning, but you do want to before you step to the line, you want to have an idea of what you want to do and how you want to construct the points. Because again, that's going to take away a lot of the emotion out of the equation when you're able to say, all right, it's between points. I'm going to serve out wide, and then I'm going to look for the short ball, and I'm going to pound the ball to the opposite corner. There you go. You have a concrete plan of action. If you just walk to the line and you don't know what you're doing and you just serve the ball, and then you're not in control anymore. You're letting your opponent be in control, assuming that they have some sort of plan or a weapon. So definitely want to have clear goals for points and know what you're going to do. It's going to help you so much to have a plan, help you be relaxed, and you want to base that on your strengths and your opponent's weakness. So ideally, you want to put yourself in a position to always be targeting their weaknesses as much as possible while using your strengths. So your forehand, potentially. So, Pete, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, lots of times it could be so simple too. Is especially watching a lot of league matches. It's
Mm-hmm.
interesting how patterns spiral out of control, like especially when you're watching. And we've all, I'm not judging here at all, I'm the coach, so my job is to see what's going on and critique it, so I'm not criticizing anybody here. But when I watch a lot of people play, it's amazing how game after game, especially in a poor quality match, people just accept the same mistakes over and over again. Like we
Yeah.
we talked about that a lot of points don't get past four balls. But in a lot of matches, it's just like one really simple mistake after the next simple mistake, and it seems to be that everybody kind of gets in a rut, and no one like stops that. And so like a nice simple goal would be, and notice when you're in one of these matches, and then just to say to yourself, like, wait a second, we're both missing. We're both just giving the match back and forth away. And if you just make one goal, like, you know, no matter what I'm gonna do, no matter how I'm gonna do it, I'm making sure that every point in this game, I'm gonna make 3 shots. I'm gonna make my serve. They're gonna hit it back. I'm gonna make the next ball, and then I'm gonna make the next ball. Whatever I have to do, you know, even if I have to bunt it in, of course we want to go out there, we want to hit the ball great, but sometimes you're in a match, and maybe it's really really important match to you, and you know winning ugly. I'm fine with winning ugly. Like I talked to Jeff Greenwald. It was pretty interesting. We have different mindsets. He's not really fine with winning ugly. He's like, I'm always going to be
Hmm.
going for it. And I think that's great too. I love. I mean, so you kind of have to take everything and make judgment calls. But there's some days where you just don't have it, and you're probably not all of a sudden just going to get it. Like you're so nervous, you're not feeling the ball. Does that mean you have to just go, this isn't my day? No. And so if you start to go, I'm going to make 3 balls every point, and then you actually start to do that, you're like, you know what? Once I actually pick a good target, pick a margin, simplify my stroke, have a clear goal, it's actually not that hard to make 3 balls. Then guess what can start to happen? You start to win points. Then you start to win games. Then you start to build a little confidence. Now all of a sudden your arm starts to feel looser. You start to breathe easier. Now all of a sudden you're like, you know what? Maybe I can just still to pick a good margin for error, but I can start swinging out a little more. Oh my gosh, you're actually going in. Now all of a sudden you feel like yourself again. So, really analyzing your situation, having those clear goals, they can be so simple. Strategy doesn't have to, it sounds so, advanced strategy and this and that. Let's learn plays from Gigi Fernandez. It doesn't have to be that complicated lots of times.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Well said. Well
Yes.
said, my friend.
All right. So any good comment we should see here? Many points are lost than won. Christopher's always on.
Mm-hmm.
The chairman's always on. Bruce is always on. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go into the next one. So let me go back to my
Sure.
banners. So I
Sure.
think I have the next one.
Yeah.
Okay. And I kind of just went into it's interesting how they all kind of spiral into each other, Mehrban, isn't it? You
Yeah.
notice that? They all
A lot of
blend together.
connections.
A lot of
Mm-hmm.
connections. There was thought. Remember, I had my coffee, I had the jazz music going. I was in the zone when I made this list.
Yeah. Post Malone. Mm-hmm.
In the Post Malone zone. Okay. So I got this one from the great Jorge Capistani. I call him the Babe Ruth of tennis con because he
Babe
always
Ruth.
knocks out of the park.
He's the man.
And this is everybody's guilty of this. I'm guilty of this. I'm sure Mehrban's guilty of this. When we're going to play a match, it's exciting. Tennis is one of the most fun things we do. That's why you guys are on this right now. That's why you guys signed up for Tennis Con, because you love tennis. I don't think you signed up for Tennis Con without loving tennis. You love it. And
Mhm.
so, when it's game day or a couple days before game day, you start thinking about game day. Like, oh man, I'm getting pumped for game day. I hope I play great. I hope, like, I want to hit a bunch of winners. I want to hit big forehands. I want to hit big serves. I want to hit some awesome angle volleys that I can just dream about when I go to sleep tonight. And, so we like our best match of our life. And that's a really hard expectation. And lots of times there's only one way to go. If it doesn't happen from there, it's down. Like, if the bar is so far high in your head and you're not hitting that right away, boom. So instead of making a goal of, like, I want to play in the zone, I want to play incredible, I'm so amped up for tonight, go, man, you know what? I'm going to go out there. I'm going to play my game. I'm going to play normal. I'm going to play normal tennis. I'm going to play within my capabilities. I'm going to let the game come to me. I know what shots I can make. I know what my shots are. I know what my margins are. I'm going to play normal. Normal is okay. My normal game is okay. And so if you're at a certain level, rated a certain level, and you always go out there and play normal, if you can just start at a base of normal, and your opponent is trying to play out of their mind, then they don't hit that, and then they're playing below their expectation. It becomes a lot easier to rack up wins when you have that mindset. And then also when you start going normal, then you can start, as you start to feel like, okay, I'm playing normal, I'm playing my game, then you can maybe make clear decisions like, okay, now I'm going to just add a little bit here, add a little bit there, um, things like that.
Yeah, no, well said. I mean, first off, Jorge is awesome. And yeah, when you go into a match and you're thinking like, I want to play awesome, or it's my goal to play amazing. I mean, first off, that's a lot of pressure that you're putting on yourself. And then second of all, I mean, especially when you're getting in these matches that are, that you're playing for something, important, or it's playoffs or whatever, it's very hard to even play at a normal level. So, the person who's going to play normal, quote unquote, is usually the one who's going to come out on top. So, you're putting yourself at a big disadvantage by trying to, have an amazing match. So, just again, goes back, like Pete said, to the game plan, to trying to execute your shots, not trying to play, super fancy or anything like that, and just play normal, and you're probably going to do really well.
Yep. Jay Look has a great question. He goes, what if playing normal always, but never putting pressure on your opponent? That's a good one, and so you do have to kind of analyze your game, see if you're saying that always goes that way. Like, I'm always playing. But some people are overcritical of themselves. Like, you'll ask, well, what's always?
Mhm.
Are you not winning matches? Oh no, I won 70% of my matches. Well, what's wrong with that? Like, you're probably doing okay. But if you're like, man, I haven't won a match in like 5 months, then there's a problem. Maybe your level, maybe there is something you have to add to your game. And Ian had, I think we had a great conversation. Go check out Ian's um, interview at Tennis Con. You guys, I'm extending all days till Sunday, since we had that mix up with the emails. I don't know if you guys know what happened with the emails, but the links weren't clicking on Tuesday. Uh, but anyway, Ian talked about getting to that next level. And he's like, if you've been playing a long time and it's not going the way you want it to go, you're not winning near as much as you think you should, and like, you're only winning 50% or less. You're winning 20%, 30% at your level that you've been stuck at for years. Then there probably is something wrong. You probably do need to change something. You need to add a weapon. You need to play with more margins. You need to um, develop a spin serve if you don't have one. Like, you have to really have a heart to heart and ask yourself, what's holding you back. But if you're, progressing year after year, and you just have, everybody's gonna have setbacks, but you do feel that you're going up steady, then you probably should keep doing what you're doing. So hopefully that helps. But you can certainly, I mean, playing normal to me is using my lefty serve out wide, serving, volleying a good amount, coming in behind some second serves. So yeah, you have to playing normal doesn't mean playing defense. That's not what that means. Okay, so next one is for Mehrban, and we're up to number 5 already.
5 already.
Yeah.
Almost halfway. So yes, make your opponent play with skill. So I mean, again, it comes down to assessing your opponent's game, which either you can do that if you have any prior experience or video, but if not during the match, and then try to figure out what do they like and then what do they not like. And a lot of what it comes down to is making your opponent uncomfortable and making them hit uncomfortable shots. So I mean, that's part of what we'll talk about actually in a couple you know number 7, I think. But um you want to have a combination of trying to put yourself in the best position in hitting like your weapons, but then also making your opponent uncomfortable. So let's say you're playing, a player who gets a ton of balls back. We'll try to think, what do they not like to do? Oh, maybe they don't like to volley. So maybe I'm going to hit a drop shot. It doesn't have to be amazing, but bring them in and then have them, force them to volley. So making them uncomfortable, and making them come up with shots that they are not very pleased to be having to come up with. So that's the gist of this one. Pete, do you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, again, it's kind of like the playing normal idea is, and I think this especially this tip will help when you're playing a quote unquote pusher, because we always think to beat the pusher, we have more skill than them. So we've got to use all that skill to beat them. We got to show them that we have better strokes. We got to show them that we have more power and all that stuff. And lots of times that plays right into their hands. They love the power. They love the pace. They know that's what you're going to try and do. And they kind of have in their mindset, like if I can just withstand the first 2 or 3 blows, they're going to hit themselves right out of the match. But a lot of them don't like to create offense. So, um, you know, and I said it earlier in the weekend tennis con, don't come off the court now that you've watched tennis con. Don't come off the court the next time you play in your mind what you feel is a pusher. And if we ask, well, how many times did you bring him to the net? You're like, oh, I didn't. I actually never brought him to the net. That's on you now. Bring them to the net. See how they volley. So you just got to really think about stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the chairman says, I think number 5 was worded badly, but I understand where you're coming from. All right, I'm going to blame Jorge Capastan on that. Jorge, it's your
Is that
fault. You
the
stink.
exact?
You master pro.
Yeah. Boo.
You made me look bad on live stream.
But he knows what you mean.
Yeah, he knows what I mean. Thank you, chairman. Thank you. I mean, when it's coming from the chairman, if someone's got a handle of the chairman,
That's right. That's important.
it's very important, and you probably should do some self-evaluation. Okay, next one is start each point with a clear mind. And what was kind of cool, I don't know if you guys got to see the top court presentation, but Chris Evert is on top court, and she was so rock solid mentally. And so what she said, which was kind of interesting, she talked about herself, but she says, not everybody has to be me. Not everybody has to play. It's not like showing that worked for her. She said showing no emotion. Her dad told her when she was younger, which is kind of interesting when you look at a lot of the people who have a big reputation for like showing no emotion, like Borg, um, Federer, Chris Evert. Lots of times there's a backstory to where they had the fire within them when they were younger. They didn't know how to handle it. They threw a lot of temper tantrums. And whether it was a coach or a parent, they got through them and say, look, you're killing yourself doing this. And they actually took it to heart and listened to it. She said her dad, sat her down and said, look, when you're showing all this emotion, you're playing right into your opponent's hands, and they're going to use that against you to win more matches. And she like it hit. She's like, yeah, it is. So she decided, I'm not going to show any emotion. And she saw that the more that she didn't do that, her opponents got more and more nervous, and she got more and more confident. She could see that working. So she really stuck with that. She said, now McEnroe, though, he would have temper tantrums. He would go crazy, but he had the ability to, when the right before the point started, he didn't let things carry over point after point. He was kind of an interesting guy because he would let arguments carry over for games. Like, he'd stay on the same argument with an umpire for games, but somehow once he started bouncing the ball, he could then take his focus onto the opponent and the match. And so this start each point with a clear mind. I think the person who said it best to me is actually one of our online students. He ended up being number one in the 50 and overs in Texas.
Wow.
And he said he had training that his coach told him, look, you're going to get upset. You're going to get excited. I mean, you can't be a robot out there. So there's some points you're going to be like super pumped up. That's fine. Now you're in a high positive state. There's going to be other points that's super disappointing or super frustrated with yourself. You can't believe you hit such a dumb shot. So now you're in high negative. But just do me one favor before you start each point, get yourself to neutral. And he said that made a lot of sense to him, and he was able to do that. And I think that's a really healthy way to go about it. I think it's hard for most of us to go, okay, I've got to be like Chris Everett. I mean, that's great if you can, and show no emotion and just be like stoic out there. Um, everybody's, I'm kind of an emotional player. So, that really helps me kind of go, okay, I can get pumped up, I can get a little mad, but before I start the point, let all that go and play each point like it's your last point, like Rafa. That's it.
Love it, Pete. Yeah, so I interviewed Christopher Clary, who wrote a fantastic book on Roger Federer that just was released, I think, last month, maybe, or a month or two ago. But it was interesting. Federer was a big hothead. I mean, he got in big trouble. Was disciplined, in the academies that he went to. But then he actually sought out a psychologist who actually was formerly a professional soccer player at one of the clubs that Federer was following, and he really counseled him and said, like, this is not going to help you to be so angry like this, and you've got to calm down. And Federer just accepted it, and then he gradually worked himself into the state where he's just very calm for the most part, and I think that has helped serve him very well. And I know that I think Christopher pointed out Johnny Mack, but with working for him to be a hothead, but that's a very, very few, I think, that can have success with that type of attitude. So definitely starting with a clear mind is important, and I think in a couple, I think number 8 will also kind of help, as Peter will reveal, to help you get in that clear mind. But I mean, that's part of why I meditate, and I try to do things that help me reset my focus so that I don't carry on with one incident or one mistake the entire match, because that is very painful. That's very distracting, and when I have an opponent who like is dwelling and complaining, I am filled with confidence as well. So you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be giving your opponent that confidence that, oh, he or she is rattled, like I'm in control now. That's not what you want. So good
Good
stuff.
stuff, my man. Okay, number
Thanks.
8.
I think we're on 7, right? Oh, wait.
You said number 8, so I thought I was supposed to go. So it's your turn.
Sorry.
Your turn. Your turn. Number
My
7.
turn.
Oh, he
My
blew number 8.
turn.
We're at 100. Someone do a TikTok dance video. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, TikTok. Yeah. So number 7, be a problem solver. So this not only will help you in tennis, it will help you in every facet of your life. I think it is the automatic reaction for a lot of us to start complaining. But like, let's say you're playing an opponent and they're getting every ball back, and you're just missing. And most of us will just like start complaining and think like there's no way we can win. But if you instead push your mind to try to figure out an alternative tactic, a different way to play the opponent, it's a lot of fun too. It's like you're trying new things, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. So it's really important that you problem solve. Without this mentality of problem solving, you're not going to improve your game. You're just going to stay static. So I'm always trying to problem solve. Whether it's if I feel like my serve isn't doing well, I'll watch some TennisCon videos or some of my own videos and try things that'll get me serving better. If I'm playing an opponent and they're wrecking us on the return, I'm going to try some I formation, some poaching, some Australian. You have to be trying things and trying to problem solve your way out of it. So that's just such an important skill that you need to constantly be doing. I think if you can have that mindset of being a problem solver, you're going to just improve so much. So try to be a problem solver. It will serve you very well.
Yeah, that's good. And to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, I think that, and I'm guilty of this, sometimes just wanting to win so bad that
Mhm.
you want the easiest path of resistance. You'll take your opponent double fault and you're like, okay, cool, I got, like that praying. It's bad when when you're in a match, you just keep praying for them to miss because you want to win, and that certainly is only going to take you so far. It's going to work some days, but it's going to work against you more often than not. And one of the best examples of this, as far as like a great mindset, like you said, like enjoying the challenge, is this one guy. His son was getting pretty good, and he was working with his son on mental stuff. So he got this book, and he showed me this one story in the book. It was about a study with these kids about what kids went further in life and what kids didn't, and and uh, it's that rare breed that goes beyond kind of the 80-20 rule. Uh, it's like 20% of the people are going to get 80% of the results. So the study was this: they all start out with a puzzle, and the puzzles were
Mhm.
easy. They start out easy, and so most kids would get them in the beginning. They do it and click the bell, and I'm done. The teacher would go, "Oh, very good, great job," and then the kid would feel good. "Oh yeah, I got the puzzle. I feel great." Then the next puzzle would come. They get it. Boom. Okay, great job. I feel great. Oh, this is so fun. Then they get harder and harder till eventually, the kids can't figure out the puzzle. And then most of the time, the common reaction was, I can't figure this out. I feel dumb. I don't want to do this anymore. This is no longer fun. Then there was this one kid who was going along, getting all the puzzles, having fun. And then he saw a puzzle. He couldn't get the puzzle. He kept staring at the puzzle. He kept staring at the puzzle. And then after about 20 minutes, he raised his arms up and went, I love a challenge. And that kid went further in life than most of the other kids in the study. Like they followed
and,
the kid. Yeah.
and
How
now he's
cool is
hosting
that?
TennisCon 5.
I
Now
was
he's
hosting
hosting TennisCon
TennisCon
5.
5. No, I was the kid. I was the kid who bashed the puzzle. I hate this.
I'm
Next,
too puzzled by
I
this
give me
puzzle.
some ice cream.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, great
that's a
story.
story I'll never forget. I thought that was a really good story. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Yeah.
I did. Yeah, I mean, I think there's studies like you said where I mean the kids who stick with it the most are it's they usually do better in life. So
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, like you said, good
Okay.
stuff.
Next, number 8, develop strong rituals. And
That's
I
you.
think this will help you, um, deal with nerves really well. I think the best, when you think of rituals, this will be interesting. Let's not even, well, you guys start commenting. When you guys think of rituals, who do you think of? When you guys think of rituals, what players do you think of? What players come to mind? And yes, and that's right. Rafael Nadal. I think he's like the king of rituals, right? He does his water bottle, he does his
Hmm.
booty pick, he does his, right? What does he do? He does that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so Rafa is deeply entrenched in his rituals. And I think that really, really helps him mentally. I think when you develop these strong rituals, you're like, these rituals that I'm going to do in between each point are more important. Like, you have to make them more important sometimes than like winning the match. You know what I mean? Like, because there's been studies, and again, the 80-20 rule, like 80% of a match is not hitting a tennis ball. It's what you're doing in between points. Like, that takes up more time than actually the ball going back and forth over the net. So it's very, very important what you're doing in between points, how you look, how it keeps you focused. And I think that
Mhm.
Rafa really uses the ritual as protection, as a security
Yeah.
blanket. Like, he hides his nerves in his rituals, because if you read his book, Rafa actually is a very nervous person. And when you watch him play, he looks fearless. He looks like an
Mhm.
animal. He looks focused. He looks like he wants to rip your heart out, which I think he does want to do all that, and he plays like that. But he's still very, very nervous when he plays. He says that. So yeah, develop some strong rituals that you can rely on, that give you a strong appearance, that give you something to do after disappointment or when you're feeling nerves. And I think that will really, really help you guys.
Yeah, well put, Peter. I think, a couple, main things that it does is, one, it provides you with familiarity in terms of like, especially even if you're in a new environment, you still have those same rituals and it kind of brings you comfort, like you said. And then also, it helps to reset you a lot, especially when I think about the in between point rituals. I think I talked to Jeff a while ago and he mentioned, things like, playing with your strings and trying to feel your feet on the ground. That's actually a really good one that not many people do. And saying one or two positive words. That type of ritual is really great to help you, shift your mind off whatever happened before and to get you reset. So rituals are definitely very, very helpful. I mean, like, Pete said, you see the best in the world, use them. So I think we should give them a try too.
Yeah. Maria Sharapova was a good one. She definitely was great. And that's another I mean, Maria Sharapova, to her credit, because she just always stuck to her rituals, because she always just kept going, because she accepted challenges, she came on tour, things went well very quickly. Then she got a lot of injuries. And with one of her comebacks, and I think she ended up winning some Grand Slams after this, but there was a time where she was double faulting. You think Alexander Zverev has a problem. She would double fault, and I'm not exaggerating, 29, sometimes 30 times in a 2 out of 3 set match, and she'd still win the match. I mean, can you imagine double faulting
Amazing.
over a set worth of points? That's hard not to just break your racket and go, I forget this, I'm out of here. But she was so mentally strong, and the rest of her game was so tough, at the time, that she could somehow win a lot of those matches double faulting that many times. Pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Mary has a good question. What types of rituals should we adopt before, besides potentially tossing the ball a few times before you serve? You got any rituals that you like?
Yeah, well, I always like, well, here's what somebody taught me one summer. I was playing, and I was going through a little bit of a rough patch, and the coach pointed out to me, he's like, look, you're always in a hurry to go from one baseline to the other baseline. You
Mm,
you win a point, you lose a point, you just walk to the other side. He's like, it's too much, and this actually comes from Jim Lair too.
mm,
Um, it's just you're involved too much in the match. You've got to step away from the game, even in the match. So he says, after the point is over, s- you know, react to the point, whether you won or lost, and then walk back to the fence, take your time back there. And he said, for a couple seconds, just check out, you know, whether you look at something off in the distance, whether you do whatever, check out. Don't focus. Isn't that weird? Then start to refocus and maybe go to your strengths. And then when you go up to
yep.
play the point, have a goal of what you want for the point. Bounce the ball, couple, whatever you like to do, as far as you like 2 bounces, 4 bounces, whatever. Do that and then serve. And that really helped me. Like, I instantly started playing better. And Jim Lair with Gotta Tennis, he's helping them with that project. And so I started to get
Mm,
obsessed listening to Jim Lair videos on YouTube because he was in one of our interviews on Monday. You can see that. The guy's a legend if you don't know. And he talked about that there's studies that what do all the best players have in common, and he talked about how in between points, one of the things that they do, because he has this thing called the 16-second cure or something like that. And it's like
mm.
basically, how to play in between points. And one of the common characteristics is all great players spent part of the match not focused. Like they would not focus, where other people would be just too intense the entire match. And so they just strategy. Thought that was really interesting because we're always trying to like tell our people to get more and more focused, but you have to develop a skill of not focusing and then refocusing. So you're not just in a constant drain of energy and nerves.
I love that. That's fantastic. I need to check that one out.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
interview, yeah.
All right. So, what did Ollie Payton? I love Ollie Payton. He's back. A while back, Pete made a habit of gripping the racket. Yes, grip the
Uh-huh.
racket. I got that from Jeff Greenwald.
Yeah,
If you're nervous, hold the racket really tight for like 10 seconds, and then it forces your hand to relax. So,
that's a great one.
thank you. All right, I think
You're
it's your.
welcome.
I think it's your turn.
Yes, it is. Number 9, be an energy drainer. Fantastic. So that is really good. I mean, imagine yourself playing against somebody who is full of energy, just getting every ball back. It's very frustrating to play that type of player. I mean, because they're the type of player that makes you hit another ball. Soon enough you're gonna feel like you have to go for more because that person is definitely gonna get your shot back. That is the type of player you don't want to play against. So why not make that person you? So, one thing I like to do is like when I'm practicing against somebody, I like to just run down every ball, even if it's a bit out or whatever, even if it's sailing. I just like to put on the afterburners and just go for as many of them as I can because that is training yourself to just get every ball. Yeah, I mean, just try to imagine yourself, how intense Rafa is, that type of player. He's incredible, and he's always getting every ball and putting the pressure on people just by that having that one skill. So of course, it's going to take a lot of training and off court training and on court training, but this is going to pay a lot of dividends and cause a lot of problems for your opponents and just put them, you don't have to hit anything. Like, it just by the mere fact that you are showing your opponents that you are going to run down every ball, it's going to make them make more mistakes. So that is a very good tip.
Yeah, I especially I help out with some juniors in the afternoon. I especially notice this and have to keep pointing. And I'm not even, how they say youth is wasted on the young. I'm not even sure they fully understand what I'm saying and really buy into this. But there's so many times where one of the kids hits a great shot and the other kid just kind of looks at it and watches it go by. And they're like, "Why didn't you run for that ball?" And they look at you like, "Dude, there's no way I was going to get it." And but they had the time to run and try.
Yeah.
And it's not about getting to the ball. It's not about making the shot. Once you discover the secret, I mean, if you run for 100% of the balls that you don't think you're going to get to, and you don't get to one of them, it's still effective. And let me tell you why. And a lot of people don't think about this. They're like, well, why would that be effective? Yeah, if I run for 100% of the balls and I don't get to 100% of them, how is that going to help me? I should have just watched the ball go by and conserved my energy. No, here's why. Because if I start to play somebody and every time I hit a good shot, I notice they don't even move, again, that makes the court bigger and that builds my confidence. And everybody's nervous. I don't care how tough anybody wants to talk or act on these podcasts or this live stream or anybody out there. Everybody gets nervous. And so what happens when you're, especially as the points get bigger. I can remember how it felt. I'd hit a great shot. I came to the net a lot too. So you hit your approach shot and you're seeing the person run, and you're just thinking it's like a movie. You're watching them run, going, and you're like, are they going to get it? Are they not going to get it? I think I hit a good shot. Was it as good as I think it is? So your whole time you're watching them and you're holding on to that tension as you're watching them run. Then when they get ready to set up, you're like wondering, are they going to make it? Am I going to have to hit another volley? Or am I not going to have another volley? What if they get it back and it starts to float in the air and the wind starts to go? Like we've all had those moments and times like, oh, I hate this ball. I should put this away, but it's windy and it's blowing. And am I going to? So the more you can put your opponent in these situations to where they're watching you and they're wondering and worrying, again, they're holding on to their tension longer in the match. They're more nervous longer. Every time you just let a ball go and you let them relax, again, they're able to store a lot more energy than you, and
Mhm.
and you're feeling more dejected because you just watched the winner go by. So even if you're not going to get to balls that you don't think you can get to, I still want you to run for them. You don't have to get to them to make a difference in the match. It all adds up.
Love that. Love that. And so we have an interesting question from Jay Look, who says, well, everyone talks about Craig O'Shaughnessy and three ball points, though. But I think those can still go together because I mean, it's you're making it more likely for the other person to make more mistakes. I mean, if because most of these points are ending in error, so if you're not the one making them, then it's more likely that your opponent is making them. So anything else to add to that, Pete?
Well, yeah, I think and I would like to talk to Craig about it because I fully don't understand. I understand serve plus one.
Hmm.
Um, I've seen a couple of videos where he does kind of seem to put less emphasis or less importance out of being concerned about winning longer points because he's like most points end within the first three or four balls, and I get that. But it would be interesting to talk to him because the trend that I see on the tour is that it's not the flashy people that are winning the matches these days. It's the people that get the most balls back. But the counter puncher today is different than the counter puncher of yesteryear. I mean, everybody on the tour
Hmm.
has a big weapon too. I mean, Medvedev hits the ball hard. His serve is big. He's like 6'6", 6'7". But you're not going to beat that guy in 3 shots. I mean, you're going to win some points, but you ain't beating him in a whole match in 3 shots. So to me on tour today, it's trending longer rallies to me from what I'm seeing the last couple years. I don't know. That's just my
It's
thought.
interesting, I just saw a post from another fellow. I wish I could remember his name. Pretty decent blog, and I think he did an analysis of like the recent Grand Slam, and he still found that like 70 some percent of the points were ending in four shots. So, I just think again, like if you're decreasing your amount of errors, within those first four shots,
Yes.
which, apparently is still, the majority of the points, shot length, then you're making it less likely that you're losing them. So,
Well, I think
yeah,
the numbers are going to be there all the time, 4 shots or less. But
yeah.
I don't think you could be the first 4 shot ball striker and under in the world and win a Grand Slam.
Mm.
Like who's better in the first 4 shots than Roger Federer? I don't think anybody ever. But I mean, I think the game has moved. I don't know if Roger Federer today could go play Djokovic in his prime today when Djokovic is in his prime and beat Djokovic. I think he still loses because I think it's too hard to have the mindset to go, I have to win all these points within 4 balls or less. Because to me, the people who are winning the most make a lot of shots. They win the four
Mhm.
ball rallies, they win the 6 ball rallies, they win the 10 ball rallies. Like, I don't know. I see the game being very, very consistent now. Very consistent. That's what I see.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, that is a very important aspect. Yeah, no, I
That's what
agree.
I see. It'd be
Be a
interesting.
great.
I'd like to talk to Craig about it. I mean, of course,
Yeah, you
numbers
should.
don't lie, but I mean, look who wins. You know,
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a stats guy for USTA. He gives scouting reports to players, and I asked him, what's like the most important trend that you see, and he said, yeah, it's consistency. Whoever's making more balls is just winning more, which it seems obvious, but I mean, it goes with what you're saying. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, definitely try to talk to Craig if you can get a hold of him.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It ain't over till it over. Okay. Are
Right.
you ready? Is it my turn? Where are we up to? Are we at number 10 already?
We're at number 10. Yep.
Okay. I like number 10. I think this is important. Number 10, and I'm talking about big points. And I talked about this the other day with Jorge Capistan. If you guys were on, then you'll know exactly where I'm going with this. Is you have to have an honest conversation with yourself. There's what you should do, and then there's what you're most likely to do. At least what you think you should do in your mind. It doesn't mean that you're right that that's what you should do. But again, big point. Second serve from your opponent. Your opponent has a weak second serve. You might tell yourself, man, what I should do with this ball on a big point is I should just smack this winner. I'm going to go for it. But if you are feeling so nervous, if your arm is like a board and your hand is jittery, but you keep telling yourself, you know what? No matter what, I'm going to go for it. I mean, I've seen people do that. Talk themselves into hitting big when they're not mentally ready. They're not believing it's going to go in, but they just kind of say what they'll tell you even after the match is like, "Well, I told myself I was going to go down swinging." Well, then you're going to go down swinging. You're going to go if you say I'm going to go down swinging. I mean, that works sometimes, but for the most part, if you say to yourself, "I'm going down swinging," well, then you're probably going down swinging. You're probably going to lose
Mhm.
because you don't believe those balls are actually going to go in.
Right.
But you just think the right thing to do is to hit and not, push. And people think like the only way to play offense is to, hit the ball hard. So let's take that same scenario and go, okay, what would I do if I'm feeling nervous and I still want to play on offense? I still want to be dictating the point, and I just don't feel that I'm going to hit a big shot and it's actually going to go in. Well, I start thinking, okay, well maybe I can chip and charge. So sometimes I'll chip and come in. Well, now I'm still taking the offense. I'm still taking it to my opponent, and I'm not having to do a big swing. Another thing that I like to do, especially if it's a weak second serve, but maybe it's like a weak second serve at a 4-5-5-0 level, is sometimes I like to back up and take like kind of like a Rafael Nadal approach to where like, I don't feel confident maybe to drive a flat winner down the line, but I do feel confident to hit like a big, heavy spin return cross court to their backhand. You see?
Mhm.
So I'm still playing offense, but I'm playing within myself and I'm doing things that I believe I can do. And then there's other times where I'll step up to the line, do a serve, and I'm feeling it. And I'll say to myself, Pete, I think you're feeling it. I think you can even though probably in the match I will serve down the middle on the ad side, maybe less than 10% of the time. There are certain times where I feel it, where I'm just like, oh, I think I just feel it right now. I think if I went down the middle, I think I could ace this person. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm going to go for it. So really having those little internal conversations with yourself and be honest, not forcing things, I think is important when you play a match.
Yeah, I can definitely think of some times where I was just like, I'm just gonna do this, or I'm just gonna do that. Like, there was one match where I was like, I'm just serving volleying every point, even though I knew that there was like no way I could win the match like that. Or just going for winners when I was not comfortable doing so. And that's never a good strategy. You just want to figure out, what are you comfortable with at that moment, and what gives you the best chance of winning. So it's definitely, it's definitely more mental than you think. So I think being honest with yourself is a great final tip to end on.
Yes. And I
Yes.
have a couple of bonus tips, but I want to do just one. I'm not going to go
Ah,
through you'll get all five if you sign up for the lifetime access pass, but I do want to do this one.
pick one. Mhm.
The Novak 55% rule. This will be our
What's that?
last tip. So Novak has had a couple of this. epic years, history years, to where he's literally barely lost a match. This year, he won 27 out of 28 Grand Slam matches. I mean, that's crazy. And he's had other years where he's won like 80 or 90 matches and only lost like 4 or 5 matches. So, I mean, that's a crazy winning stat. And in his best years, he's only winning 55% of the points. So that's another thing about tennis is it's a fine line between getting sloppy and making a lot of errors and hitting yourself out of a match and being a perfectionist to where you're like, I don't think I should ever miss. Missing's unacceptable, because we do have that, coaches do that a lot. And I think it's a good thing. It's so tough because it's not a one size fits all game. I mean, coaches need to sometimes tell their students, like, look, you're missing, be consistent, get the ball in play with margins, be consistent, don't miss. I don't know if don't miss is the best word to say, but you get where I'm saying that. And coaches will say that to their students, don't miss. You probably say it to yourself, don't miss. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I shouldn't miss that shot. How can you miss that ball? How can you be losing this opponent? How can it be, 3-3? And if you're playing league tennis, you're playing somebody most of the time that's rated the same level within a margin of you. Otherwise, you're probably not playing them. Well,
Right.
you're going to lose probably 45% of the points or more, and that's normal. So you've got to also have an acceptance and a tolerance to seeing your ball go in the net, to seeing your ball go wide, to seeing your ball go long, to seeing your opponent hit a winner. You have to understand that's part of the game. And no matter what you do, again, this is what we were talking about before, like Craig O'Shaughnessy, numbers are numbers, and they always kind of end up the same no matter what you want. I mean, we always want to go out and win 6-0, 6-0. We always want to get every first serve in, but it's not going to go that way. So you have to be used to your mistakes. And I think the other thing is having that combination of being used to your mistakes, then observe the mistake, then correct the mistake. And I think that's what pros are really good at. They'll miss it. If you watch a pro match, they miss a lot. But the next time they see that ball again, they usually don't miss the same shot twice, at least not in a short amount of time, So that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, how you compare like amateurs to pros, right? And you see these players that they miss like a few shots in a row and they go berserk, like they're some sort of robot that are supposed to make every single ball, and then you watch a tennis match, most of the time the players they miss a ball, they shank it, whatever. They don't have like no reaction for the most part. And they just keep going about their day because they know that they just have to win a certain number of points to win the match. And, it's far less than you think is needed. It's only, like Pete said, 55%. To be world number one, you're losing that many points, many percentage points of a point. So it's incredible, but something to keep in mind, and hopefully just knowing that will keep you more calm in your matches so that you can refocus and not dwell on losing, a few points here and there. Totally normal.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed that and be ready for Tennis Con 5 tomorrow. It's the 5th day. It's Friday. It's the last day of content. Mehrban and I are going to come back on Sunday and close it. So you have till now until Sunday to watch everything. I'm going to share the screen, just kind of preview what we're going over tomorrow. Again, I'm sending the email at 8:15 in the morning, just give or take a couple of minutes. So hopefully you guys are tuning in and enjoying all these. If you have the lifetime access pass, you can watch it for life. If you don't, if you got the free ticket, I understand. I ain't mad at you at all. Just know that you've got till Sunday to watch and retain it all. So this is what we're going over tomorrow. And I really want everybody to watch this first one. This is the Kovacs top 10 list, 10 exercises every tennis player needs to do to play better tennis, avoid injury. I've made a personal promise to myself because as I was watching this presentation, there was a couple of things that went on in my mind. I was just impressed. First of all, I'm like, this is a great presentation. And he was doing this presentation from his hotel room where he's working with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I had a lesson with him before that afternoon. He was going to work with an Atlanta Brave baseball player. Go Braves.
Love
We won
Mark.
last night. Yeah. So, and he's worked with Isner, Sloane Stevens. I mean, all the top American players. I mean, this guy truly is an expert. And as he was going through this, I'm like, man, just this one lesson is worth doing TennisCon. And the other thing too is he went through the 10 as he's going through the 10. I'm like, ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, that's a great point. And now as I'm talking to you, and I mean, TennisCon, there's just so much work to do. I probably couldn't, if Mehrban said, name 3 of the exercises, I go, I don't know, Mehrban, I forget. I just remember it was really good. So I made a promise to myself, because I do remember that a lot of the exercises, like, ooh, I feel bad about myself, because that's something I definitely should be doing at my age that I'm not doing. So I'm going to, for 30 days, kind of keep checking on this video. And the thing is it's the top 10 list, but I don't think you need to do all 10 exercises in every time you go out and work out. You know, you can build a workout and like put like 1 or 2 of those exercises in there. So that's what I'm going to do. For the next 30 days after this ends, I want to just study this one video and just do exercises from it, and strengthen up my back, my hamstrings, you know, maybe get a little spring back in my step. There's lots of great stuff in there. This next one is from Marissa. Marissa just had a baby from Ripid Tennis, so
Oh,
congratulations to
congrats.
her. And she's great with fitness, and she does a really good doubles warm up workout. I think a lot of us, we don't like connect the dots. Most of us on these live streams, you know, we play doubles, but then we want to always study like how does Federer hit his forehand, and the way we warm up, we usually warm up down the middle and do a lot of things. We never really think about working on doubles skills. So this is a warm up you could do off court, to where you can do it before your match. You can do it as an exercise routine, and you can also be working on your technique as you're doing it. And that's another thing I think we don't do enough as tennis players, is off the court exercises are a great opportunity to like work on your technique and perfect it, like a martial artist does, like a boxer does. You know, they've somehow been able to sell their sport that it's very normal to shadow box and shadow stroke, and that's going to really perfect your technique, and you should do a lot of that before you actually hit somebody. In tennis, it's like, give us the racket, let's see what happens. And very few people are actually working their technique without a tennis ball. And I think that that's super important. So this is a great video for doing just that, especially if you're a doubles player. Brent Abel, this is a great video. It's an encore performance. Reason why I kept it in there is you know, this guy's a legend. He's 70 plus. He still goes, and he represented the United States in a World Games just a year or 2 ago. He's one of the best players in his age group in the world, and he goes through what he does to stay fit. And again, it's inspirational no matter what age you are. If you're in your 70s, you're going to be inspired. Like, damn, that dude's my age. He's in incredible shape. He's still doing it. Me at my age, I'm inspired too, going, man, I hope I can be like Brent when I'm his age. And that dude's doing some things that he's doing it better than I could do it. So that's kind of cool to see. This is tennis is not a mental game. So this is, again, kind of talks about how to practice a lot, like connecting practice to matches and putting pressure into your matches, and exactly how to do that. So that's a great presentation to go through. Your invisible problem. I think this is a great line that he came up with. Is lots of times he'll say, hey, what's interesting about tennis is you can prepare perfectly, you can follow through perfect, and then what you're doing at contact, you're doing certain things wrong there, and that's making the ball go off, even though the preparation looks good, the finish looks good. That's another reason why I think people should be videoing themselves. Teach me how to buggy. Teach me how to buggy. This is about the buggy whip forehand from Topspin Tennis, and he's talking about the situations. And I really like that he taught this, because I know there's some coaches, and I like that too. You know, he's not a spring chicken. Me and him, he looks probably around my age, maybe a little older. And a lot of coaches our age would say, hey, you shouldn't be hitting the buggy whip forehand. Just leave that to Rafa. And I disagree. I think I like the idea of students learning how to do a buggy whip, not doing on every ball, doing in certain situations. Lots of times it actually makes the situation easier and not harder, which I think the common misconception is like, oh, hitting a buggy whip forehand is so hard. Don't worry about learning that. No, there's lots of times where if you hit the buggy whip forehand, it's going to be safer, but you're still going to be able to be aggressive. So
Mhm.
I like this lesson. And then this is another really cool one. This is John McGowan. This is cool. They're Max Tennis. Found them on Instagram, and it happens. I just learned this like because he's a lane entry. He's head of the Irish Tennis Federation. So these two guys are like big deals, and they're
Mm.
talking about how to train and read, respond and react to tennis balls, and building your anticipation skills. And that's another thing that I think we don't really think about or work on much. So a stellar day to end Tennis Con 5. Make sure you watch it. Binge watch this entire weekend. And Mehrban, if they want to get a lifetime access pass, if they want to binge watch, but then go, you know what, this is pretty good. I should probably be reviewing this over and over again, like Pete's going to do with Mark Kovac's one lesson. What do they get if they go off your link? And I'll put your link
Sure.
in
So
the comment section.
sure.
There's
So let
his
me
link.
share my screen to make things easier and show you a little visuale. I don't think that's a word.
Yeah, not a
But
word.
let's see. So, I just want to give you, a taste of what you will get, which is, I think it's like incredible, how much you will get from Tennis Con. So, I mean, first off, you're getting all 40 plus video lessons that, Pete and the amazing coaches have put together. And you just have the values up here, and it keeps increasing because you also get the audio downloads, which I personally love to listen to when I'm in the car, or when I'm cooking or taking a shower, to listen to all these great presentations. And then not only that, but then you get to get the VIP coaching hotline from Pete, which is an amazing bonus as well. Pete is so accessible. He loves tennis, and he's here to help you out. So you get that. And then you also get the 7-day serve challenge. So that is incredible. I mean, on its own, this is such a great program that you can use to improve your serve. I encourage all of you to go through this. It's really fantastic. Which, if you get the all access pass, you'll get that as well. And then, as you see, the value of what you're getting just keeps going up. You also will get the 10 golden rules of tennis audio lesson, which is what we went through today. So I hope that you really enjoy that if you get the all access pass. And you just see the value keeps climbing. It's almost, up to $2,000 right now. And then you also will get the lessons with legends at Newcomb's Ranch, which is a $197 value if you get the all access pass. And not only that, you're then going to get the Edge of Power 30-minute video lesson. I've actually gone through this, and this is a great program, great concept, will help you a lot to gain more power on your strokes. And as I remember, Pete, you went through all the different strokes and how this concept applies to them. So it's really fantastic. Um, and then if you get the all access pass and you get, all these, you'll get all these amazing bonuses from Peter. You'll also get my serve lessons power pack and the top 10 interviews of all time from my podcast, which is $197 value. And so you're going to get serve lessons that I've had with my coaches, and they are fantastic. And you're going to learn how to get more power on your serve, how to have a more consistent second serve, and how to develop the throwing motion, which I can tell you from experience is really the key to having a powerful serve. Is if you can master that throwing motion, this is going to get you like 80% of your power. So these are really valuable bonuses. And if you get the all access pass today, I will also throw in a mental game masterclasses power pack as well. So this is special for the live stream today. So you are basically getting 9 different bonuses if you get the all access pass today through my link. And I believe Pete has put that up. So just get, we're trying to throw in as much value as we can, because we know that these lessons are incredible. And as Peter said, one tip from these presentations like can make a world of difference. I've experienced it myself, with just, a certain serve tip, loading the back foot, things like this. They're giving you instant power, and it's invaluable. The happiness that you get from improving your tennis game. So I think this is a very well worth upgrade to do, to get the all access pass. And it's going to be your library, because you're going to inevitably watch presentations if you haven't yet, and you'll see something, and if you don't have lifetime access to it, then in the future you're going to say, oh gosh, I wish I'd be able to go back to this presentation, but I don't have it because I don't have the all access pass. And in fact, one of my audience members actually emailed me and said, "Hey, I watched this session on watching the ball, but I can't seem to find it." And that was in Tennis Summit 2020, but I don't believe that he had lifetime access. So that's just kind of a situation where you're going to wish that you had access to all of these 40 plus videos, plus all these bonuses on the screen. So it's definitely a great upgrade to do if you're serious in improving your tennis game. So definitely would highly encourage you to check out the All Access Pass through the link that Peter has put in the chat below.
Yes,
Thanks,
definitely
Pete.
support TennisCon, support Mehrban. You get his bonus. And I want to show you guys something kind of cool, because you might be confused on what is the hotline like. And it's one of the things I've added to my coaching
Mm.
that I'm super proud of. And so there's a guy, Neil. Um, you can see this. This is how it works. Basically, this is like my portal, and that's like my little message up there that I give to everybody. But I go, here's a video of my volley. I'd love your feedback. So then I come here, I click on it. I'm actually gonna do this after we get off the live stream. I'm gonna review his video, so I have some homework to do. And then there he is. He's getting ready to volley. So I'm going to be taking a look at his volley and giving him some feedback on his game. So he sent me all his strokes, and it's part of like, if you really want to improve, there's no excuse. You can send in videos, you can watch videos. So I'll analyze them, and the way I would respond to him is I just come over here and I hit reply, and I can either have a video fire up, or I can have the screen fire up. See that? Right? See there? I'm talking right there right now. So I can just hit this record button and talk to him about his game. I can record the screen and go to YouTube and kind of talk over his video, which I think is the way I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to put his video in slow motion and then talk about what I'm seeing. So, I mean, it's here, guys. If you really want to go to the next level, this is it. This is your chance to
That's
do it.
that's an insane bonus. Like you have access to
Yeah,
Peter he can just watch your video and just give you analysis. Is there any limitation to this? Like,
30
I
days. 30
mean,
days.
okay, okay.
That guy sent in 4 videos.
I'd be
He's
sending like
taking
10.
he's getting his money's worth. He got all the TennisCon, he got TennisCon lifetime, he got all the bonuses, and he just sent in 4 videos. And he could do that unlimited for 30 days. Um,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. I mean, again, the reason why I do that is numbers don't lie. No, most people are going to look at that, go, "Oh, that's pretty cool," but they're not going to do it. I
Yeah,
mean, no matter how
it's
much
true.
I twist and say, "Hey, you should do it," it's there. Most people are going to go, "Oh, that's cool. I guess somebody else will do that." I don't know. I don't know if I can do that. When all it takes is basically taking your phone,
That's it.
hitting that record button just the way I hit the way I could have hit the record button, or taking your phone, uploading the video to YouTube, writing a message like that guy did, and sending the link. That's probably even the best thing to do. It's all it takes, and you're off and running. So, yeah, guys, that's it. Tomorrow is the last day, but you get to watch all the videos through the entire
Crazy.
weekend. Maribon and I are going to close out TennisCon 5. Thank you for doing this with me again on Sunday night. And
Pleasure.
yeah, so anything else, Maribon? What do you think?
No, I mean, just again, thanks a lot, Pete. I really highly encourage you all to just pay attention to these sessions and get the all access pass. You know, if you want to be able to check them out, you know, in the future with the using the link. But yeah, just watch these and then execute. You know, don't you know like uh, get so much information and then do nothing. Like you got to take action off of these things. So just have that problem solving mindset. Figure out what area of my game can I get the most results out of? Like for example, for me, that's probably my serve. So then I'm going to go and look for those serve sessions, watch them, take notes, and refer to them again in the future with the pass and all that. So, yeah, just keep improving, keep a positive attitude. There's always going to be, rainy days. And, but I particularly get fuel from like when I lose a match, like when I lost a match a few days ago, close one, I'm just hungry. I'm like, what do I need to improve on? Like, I can't wait to get back out there. And so just try to enjoy tennis, try to improve, keep that mindset up of improving with everything in your life, and you will have a great career. So enjoy TennisCon 5 to the fullest. And thanks, Pete. And thanks everybody for joining.
All right. You guys have a great night out there.
Thank you all. Take care.